Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're going to wait a couple more minutes to let some of the other registrants join and start at the top of the hour a few minutes after. Thanks. Okay, it's noon, so I'm going to wait one more minute just to be cognizant of everyone's time, and then we will get started. So if you have any questions prior to, I think everyone's able to get logged in. We do have a Q&A section to keep this interactive, but I will go through all those details when we get started in a minute. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started, and other people can join as time permits for them. But thank you for joining today. My name is Megan Howard. I am the Director of Sales here at Shorts Travel, and I'll be facilitating our session this morning and afternoon, depending where you are. So we've been hosting these travel talks monthly throughout 2017. They're each focused on different hot topics in the industry based on interest we're receiving from clients and things employees are seeing throughout the industry. We try to keep them more educational, but some, like today's session, will include details about Shorts products and services. But we do want to keep them very informal, so if you have any questions throughout, there's a Q&A tab at the bottom corner of your screen, and feel free to submit a question and I'll address them as we go if I can, or else we have about 5 minutes at the end open for questions. So we'll take those and have one of our experts answer them there. So today we're going to focus on the service offering Shorts provides for group travel, as well as best practices, specifically with athletics in mind. Most colleges and universities have heard of Shorts by working with us for postseason championship travel. Since becoming the exclusive travel provider for the NCAA in 2003, we have partnered with over 100 collegiate athletic departments to handle their regular season travel as well. We move over 14,000 teams to 5,000 competitions annually. So you know we can handle your commercial air. But what about those additional program add-ons for group travel? And that's what we're here to show you today. Some of this may be a refresher. Some may use one or two of our services, but would be interested in learning about how to add on another. And then others of you may know nothing about our offerings. So this would be a good all-in what Shorts can offer you. So no matter what your intention is or how strong your relationship with Shorts is, I do want to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to join us. So leading our session, we have our dream team in place. Danny Basehart is here. He's our wide receiver, getting ready to catch that football for STM Charters, which is our air charters division. And then we have Julie Gordon, who's the point guard of STM Hotels, our division, which handles all group hotels, meetings, and events. And then we also have Nick Gillen, our ace server, and he is the director of STM Ground to handle any bus transportation needs. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Julie Gordon to kick things off for us.
Thanks, Megan. And thank you all very much again for joining us today. I'm going to introduce what we refer to as specialized services, what we can do here at Shorts that Megan just referenced to help enhance the experience for your travelers and hopefully yourselves. So each of us presenting today, we're really experts in each of the fields that we support, whether it be charter air or group hotels or buses. We all lean on Shorts to help us drive innovation through technology in order to really achieve what we do for each of you. Our goal, each of us, is to really enhance the traveler's experience, making it easy. Our services, really alongside our expertise, does reward everyone. We can help save time and save money. We can certainly help reduce risk, also reduce stress, and provide an overall better experience throughout the planning process, the travel portion, and the payment portion for each trip. The reason we all work together is because we really see that so much of what each of us do translates to you, our clients, our travelers, in very similar ways. From the importance around booking windows and processes and the benefits we can bring, we can help save time and money, as I'd mentioned. We can really provide a lot of advice and certainly provide you some lessons learned from our previous experience, and give you just a clearer understanding of our shifting industries as they do change, as everything does. And I think we'll start now with Danny and ask him to speak to you a little bit about air charter.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you kindly, Julie. My name is Danny Basehart, and I am a member of the STM Charters operations team, and I have a hand in sales and new business development as well. I've been involved in the private air charter industry now for over 11 years in various capacities, and I appreciate everyone making the time for us today. Allow me to start by saying, and I'm sure you all know, that private air charter provides a level of comfort and service not found in the hub and spoke commercial segment. And at STM, we've developed a customer experience that's convenient, it's very efficient, and overwhelmingly attentive to your specific needs. Whether you need to move one person or 400, we can accommodate any request at any time, anywhere in the world. Believe it or not, booking a private charter is as easy, if not easier, than booking a commercial flight. There's nothing to be intimidated about it, and it can be as easy as booking an Uber ride. You can call or email us your request through our website, and we will go to work to bring you the various options that are available to meet your needs. So having the ability to schedule departure times that are convenient, the ability to enjoy absolute privacy, that's a big one for our collegiate partners. Avoiding the TSA lines, connecting flights, no limit restrictions on fluids you can bring, and not having to deal with checked baggage. The time management elasticity Air Charter provides is compelling, and the benefits are numerous. The most important benefit by far that charter aircraft provide to student athletes is the ability to avoid interruptions in their scheduled classes and practices. Having the ability to schedule departure on Friday afternoon with a return on a Sunday evening, as an example, assures the student athletes are well rested for their weekend games and able to keep their academic commitments. For more than a decade, STM Charters has been provided athletic team travel solutions to colleges and universities across the United States. As you can see here on the screen, we're responsible for managing over 850 collegiate athletic flights annually and well over 140 athletic clients now that we service. And we continue to realize growth in this segment year after year. From my experience in dealing with this intimately, the fiscal responsibilities of athletic programs are one of the most important challenges athletic administrators deal with each year. And STM Charters has gone to great lengths to design a truly unique cost savings model that enhances the quality of our charter services. A large part of our success in the athletic team travel segment is due to our exclusive partnerships with 6 of the air carriers shown here on the screen. These carriers operate aircraft suitable for team travel from 30-seat turboprops up to large-body 737 high-density seating aircraft. Every season, our partner operators entrust us to fulfill team travel charters with aviation assets worth roughly $2.5 billion. Because of these exclusive partnerships, STM Charters is uniquely qualified to provide nimble charter services at any time, anywhere in the United States at a reasonable cost. Our exclusive relationships with these air carriers give us the unique ability to provide a very elastic contingency plan in the event weather and equipment don't cooperate. So we've really gone to great lengths to make the charter process as easy and affordable for you as possible. And as our reputation continues to grow in the collegiate athletic market, a segment that we've seen a great deal of growth over the past few years is in providing executive air charter services to universities, businesses, and celebrities. And these aircraft, from small turboprops with seating for up to 4 passengers, up to what we all may call private jets, you know, the kind of aircraft we see in film, that the celebrities we associate with celebrities. They can sit anywhere from 6 to 12 passengers. And we've recently signed an exclusive 3-year contract with a large university in the Northeast to provide executive charter services for the coaches' recruiting trips and any special administrative flights where time is of the essence for them. So we're positioned well to see continued growth in this segment of the charter market. I wanted to thank you all for your consideration at this time, and I'll pass it back to Julie.
Thank you, Danny. So what I'm going to talk a little bit about today is group hotels, group blocks specifically. As I'm sure most of you are aware, the hotel industry is really changing every day. There have been some recent mega mergers and acquisitions that really take hold and are impacting the hotels and the experience altogether. Not only does it really impact the employees, it impacts their processes and how they manage it, the technologies that they have to use. Many of them have several different components they have to use these days to book business. There's an ever-evolving rewards or loyalty program that they're all trying to manage. But most importantly is the data interpretation that we all tend to lean on. Whether you lean on it or we lean on it to support our clients, I'm finding that the data integrity has really been interrupted. If you look at the slide, you'll see that just like charter, we too have supported over 850 contracts last year. We are trending right now toward about 1,200 this year. This really allows us to view a lot of information on how different chains or brands are managing their contracting process. Some of you may be very familiar with a 1-page contract, and some may be more familiar with those 12-page contracts. But certainly one of the valuable lessons that we continue to learn when we secure these contracts is ensuring that the contractual obligations are understood by the contract signatory and most importantly by the people who are traveling. That not only they're understood, but they are known, that they know what has been promised and what has been contracted at the beginning of the process when you initiate the search. We talk about strategic sourcing and the strategic sourcing process that our team manages, and that's really about making sure that the right properties are included in a search and that those properties, when presenting their proposals, are familiar with expectations of the client, expectations around contracting, and overall concessions. So when we summarize results, or when you're looking at results from your searches or from calls that you've made, it's really important to have an apples to apples comparison. In the world of hotels, we call it rates, dates, and space. Those are very important factors, but they're really not everything. It's not just about the rate. It's also about the concessions that the hotel is willing to put in front of you. And also the importance around timeliness and expertise of those salespeople we're dealing with. As I mentioned earlier, there's been a lot of transition with the hotel companies, and I'm finding, I've been in the business for upwards of 30 years, and I'm finding that more and more they're hiring less and less experienced salespeople to manage the transaction of contracting. And in doing so, you really lose out on the focus on responsiveness. For those of you who do manage contracts with hotels, you know the amount of time and energy that goes into working with the hotels. The negotiations piece is one really important factor, but you need to get the contract in hand. And we're finding that the time to get contracts in hand are taking longer and longer, and the familiarity that the salespeople have with the contracts are becoming less and less. So one of the things that we talk about is the concessions and how important it is that these concessions be understood. So I'm going to use the example of high-speed internet access. Most hotels offer it these days, but it's important to understand where this accessibility is for your guests. Is it in the guest room? Is it in the lobby? Is it all over the hotel? Is it in the private meeting rooms? And also to understand its strength and stability over that signal. Hotels now upsell internet access so that they can sell the, I'm going to say the less stable ones for nothing, and then they can upsell the higher stable ones. So it's important to negotiate in the contract those higher, more stable, better accessibility signals. And also I wanted to talk through that a lot of savings that's realized when staying at a hotel, especially for group properties or groups, is to recognize the fact that almost 40% of savings are realized when you compare and experience what goes on site. So it's one thing to say that breakfast is included. It's another thing to ensure that breakfast is actually what it was promised to be. And so a lot of our time is also meant managing those expectations and making sure that the hotel does deliver on what's been contracted and what's been negotiated. Another real important factor when searching availability and, importantly, negotiating is to know that you can use what you've learned to your advantage. So we really believe in shopping options, at least having 3 to 5 options available, seeing what is available, seeing what rates are, seeing what concessions are available in that particular market. Even those coaches who like to go over and over again to the same hotel because it's a lucky hotel and they like it, it's really important to continue that same process of searching and shopping. Certainly flags change, certainly hotels are upgraded and hotels are added and enhanced. It's just important to make sure that you're really looking at the market and to use that market knowledge to your advantage. Risk mitigation is also a really important key factor to what we do. And I do think it's important to recognize that hotels have your best interest in mind, but it's also important to recognize they have their best interest in mind. And the way that we write our language and the way that we manage our contracts are really important to ensure and allow your coaches and your director of ops to focus on their day job. And if they're not getting what they need, to know that there's somebody they can lean on to help them upon check-in or check-out. You know that, certainly it's a real time commitment when you work with hotels. And so because this is all that our team does all day, every day, it's important to realize that expertise really does lend itself to the advantage of those staying and those managing the budgets. So I'm going to pass it on to Nick and let Nick talk to you about buses.
Thank you, Julie. I'm going to walk you through a start to finish process on what your team travel managers should be doing when it comes time to booking their ground transportation for the season. This is how STM Ground works, and ideally it's how your director of operations for each team are working if they don't currently use a travel organizer to book their ground transportation. just again, on a start to finish process, we're going to go through what we do before travel, how we get the ball rolling when it comes to booking, and then pre-travel in regards to collecting itineraries and post-travel. So you need a bus. The most important factor in pricing currently, in my opinion, is the booking window. We see a lot of teams think about ground transportation last. They'll look at their hotels and their flights, and then about a month before travel, or even in some cases a couple days before travel, we'll get an email saying, oh yeah, we need a bus in Albuquerque, New Mexico this weekend. Well, Albuquerque has been sold out now for a couple of months, so we're deadheading equipment in to find that transportation for a team. As soon as schedules come out, teams should be thinking about all three of the aspects of charter, their flights, their hotels, and their ground transportation together, because that'll definitely save some money. I prefer a booking window well outside of 60 days. If a team can look 90 days in advance of travel, even better. So booking window is very important. Next thing a team travel manager has to consider is the amenities on the bus. Do they really need leather seats? If they're staying local and they're only going to be on the bus for 15 minutes at a pop, do they really need Wi-Fi on the bus and outlets? If it's a smaller team, a volleyball team or a soccer team, could they get away with using a mid-sized coach? All that stuff will save you money. Options. We see it all the time when we step into a new school and they decide that they want ground transportation as part of the package. These teams have very specific vendors that they've been using year in and year out. Lucky vendors or vendors that they've known for a while or a favorite driver. What sometimes they fail to realize is that if you're using the same vendor year in and year out without checking that vendor, is that there's a very good chance you're overpaying for the service. If you put that out for competitive bid to 2, 3, 4 other carriers in the area, oftentimes you'll see that the vendor that the team's been using for the last 10 years is by far and away the most expensive vendor because they know they're not being price checked. As soon as you put a vendor in a position where they know that this is a competitive bid situation, you start to see very competitive prices come in. Lastly, if your once your team's going out and getting those bids and they've got multiple vendors they want, we need to check those FMCSA and DOT websites for their records. We need to make sure that the vendors are at least satisfactorily approved. Let's check the insurance certificates, make sure they have a minimum of $5 million insurance, and ask for some references if you can, because nobody knows what a team needs and requests and what they prefer better than another sports team. So if your sports team's going out and looking at new vendors, make sure they're at least getting references from the new companies that they're going out and researching. When it's time to book and the team's made a decision, request the confirmation and then double check the confirmation. I can't tell you how many times we see confirmations come back with dates that are incorrect, or if it's a football team, maybe the number of buses requested is incorrect. The dates might be right, but the month could be wrong, or the passenger size could be wrong. So double check the confirmations because it could definitely avoid some catastrophe down the road. About a month prior to your departure, if it is a new vendor, just call the new vendor really quick. Have your team travel manager call them, email them, say, hey, listen, we've got a trip coming up. I want to double check and make sure that we're on the books and there's nothing more that you need from us. We have heard stories, and it happens more often than not, where a new company, if a team is using a new vendor, that vendor might not have a relationship with the university or the program and might require money before travel or some sort of purchase order. We want to make sure all that's lined up well in advance so people aren't scrambling the week of travel trying to get everything pulled together. And in the same breath, you do want to avoid prepayment. It keeps the ball in your court should something occur during the course of the trip where you need to go back to the vendor and explain that the equipment wasn't up to par, or the driver didn't know where he was going. And anything can happen where you might be in a position where it's good and okay and expected to go back and ask for a little bit of a rebate on your charter. Prior to travel, try to get your itineraries in as soon as possible. The longer I stay in this industry, the more that's becoming an issue. Teams are putting off the itinerary longer and longer. There are some teams now where we don't get itineraries until a day or 2 days before travel, and most bus companies don't assign equipment and drivers until those itineraries come in. So what you want to avoid by getting your itinerary in early is being stuck with the leftover drivers and the leftover buses. The sooner you can get that itinerary in, the better. It helps your team out. It helps the bus company out in assigning your driver and assigning your equipment. It just guarantees that you've got the best opportunity of getting the best available of everything. Collect your 24-hour information. And that's not an answering service. Do not settle for an answering service. Get the name and cell phone number of somebody who will be on duty while you're going to be on the road. An answering service has to contact the very same person whose number they're refusing to give you, and then you have to wait for that person to contact the answering service, and then it just creates too much of a time gap should an issue arise while your team's on the road. So you want to make sure you have the actual name and cell phone number of someone who's guaranteed to pick up their phone and start working on an issue immediately. Once the trip is traveled, and assuming everything goes well, think about tipping the driver. Driver gratuities as in any service industry are always appreciated. They're not expected, but you want to avoid becoming that institution that has a reputation for not tipping drivers or not taking care of them in some aspect. I mean, schools do all sorts of things when it comes to tipping their drivers. They'll give drivers team gear. They might take care of the drivers' meals, because those drivers' meals it depends on the company. Sometimes they're not included. Sometimes the driver has to take care of their own meals, but it's always an appreciated gesture. So think about some way over the course of the trip, if your driver's doing a bang-up job, really on the ball, making sure that you're in a good spot throughout the trip to take care of them one way or another, so that rumor gets around the driver mill that you're a team that people want to work for. And then lastly, pay your bill. You go through, you've set your budget. You don't want surprises coming down the road at the end of the season and in overages or getting bills after you've already closed out your budget. Once you get the invoice, pay the bill so that it's over and done with, and you can move on to the next trip. So that's all I have for how STM Ground runs through their charter bus procedure. Hopefully your travel managers are doing the same, and I'll pass it on to Julie.
Thank you. So you got me again. So I'm going to do a quick sales pitch, so forgive me, but I want to show you all how easy it is to engage us when you're planning your trips or you've just received your schedule. We use a portal, which is our proprietary tool, so the information is ours and yours. You just have to go onto the portal and request a new request. This first piece is to show you that you can go into history. You can see when it was submitted, you can see the start date, and make sure you submitted all 12 of your trips, and if you forgot one, you can add one in. So it's a great reference for you. Once you go ahead, and if you do have a program or a contract with Shorts already, it's very easy. It knows who you are. It'll have all the information already populated for you. And all you need to do is let us know what sport it is and the best way to reach you, usually your phone number. And then you can just let us know which trip this is. And if I can just highlight, the real value of this is to get a hold of all of us right when you find out you need to go on a trip so that the timing is best, exactly to what Nick was speaking about with efficiencies, and ensuring you get in front of the right people at the right time to get best pricing and to get the best equipment. So once you put in a little bit of information, you can then go ahead and request your air service. Specifically, this is going to reference your charter, but you can also just request regular commercial air. Do you want to speak a little bit to this, Danny?
Absolutely. I like to call what we do being in the solutions business just as much as we are in the travel business. And the portal has so many great features to make life easy, as everyone's articulated here today. For a charter, as an example, as you can see, it's real simple. You check a one-way round trip. You can put your departure airport identifiers in there. If you don't know the airport identifiers, you can simply Google a certain airport and it'll show you that information, your dates, and any details concerning the trip, and one of our representatives will get back to you very quickly to go over any other details and just to make sure we guide you through the process. So it's that simple, and it's solutions based, and that's all I have on that topic.
Okay, thank you. The next phase of this would be hotel. You would just let us know how many rooms you require, and then the breakdown of your kings or your doubles or triples, just how many rooms you need. If you have a specific hotel in mind for this particular trip, or if you want a specific chain, that would be noted here. And note that you also don't need all three of these. If you don't need hotel and you just need to fly there and you just need a bus, you can always skip it. So we want you to have all three options, but you absolutely can just submit 1, 2, or 3. Your check-in and check-out date is there. And then again, any requirements you have, maybe you need meeting space, maybe you need to have an area to store some of your equipment. Certainly you want an upgrade for your coach. So little areas or little things that are important to you, if you haven't worked with us in the past, is a really nice thing to mention here. I'll let Nick speak to any points around the ground.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. This is pretty cut and dry. When it comes to requesting ground transportation, a lot of people hold off because they don't know exact arrival departure information yet. In fact, all we need to get the ball rolling on getting quotes is where you're going, when you're going to get there, and when you plan on leaving. Exact times, and we can even play with those dates a little bit when as things become finalized with your charter flights. So it's very minimal information just to get the ball rolling as far as quotes are concerned with ground transportation. Teams are 50-50 on whether or not they want the buses staying with them, or if they want the driver to leave, go back to the garage, come back each night. It even gives you a section here to include your amenities if you are going over the road and you need Wi-Fi or a special audio-video hookups for the bus. You can throw it all down here. But again, the part that I want to emphasize is that when it comes to requesting ground, you don't need to provide a ton of information at the start.
So you just like it pushed there, and it takes you right to a summary. This is just to double check your work, make sure again you have the right dates, the right year, the right month, the right numbers, and then you're going to get an email that automatically notifies you that it has been submitted. This email that summarizes your requirements is exactly the same email that I will receive if you request group hotels, Nick will receive if you request ground, and Danny and his team will receive if you request charter, and certainly an agent will receive if you request regular air. You'll see also that there's a trips page. Again, this was recommendations by client users like yourselves that they wanted to be able to reference history, and they wanted to be able to reference who's on the, who's kind of on the road now. And it shows you where everybody is going, and it provides you just some real-time data. So real easy. Just wanted to highlight some of the technology that we have, and I will pass it back to you, Megan.
Thanks. Sorry, I was getting a little ahead of myself. We are right there at our 30 minutes, but we have 2 quick questions I wanted to get to before we close this out. So won't hold you too much longer. But the first one is actually goes right along with what you just showed with the portal, but it's for you, Nick. Are there other ways to request ground transportation if they're not using the portal?
Yes, and Megan, I know you'll be sending out an email with contact information for the 3 of us, but whatever format your coaches are used to putting requests together in, however they've done it in the past, a simple email would work to either one of the 3 of us in an Excel spreadsheet, a Word document, or a simple, just in the body of the email itself.
Okay. And then the next one is for Julie. And Julie, does your preferred hotel program give kickbacks to shorts?
Oh, that's a great question. No, we do not receive rebates or any form of payment to influence searches on behalf of our clients. We think it's really important that we can certainly define those hotels, like we said, that coaches like to stay in or chains that you like to work with. We think it's really important that we search strategically based on the unique factors that each client represents or that each team represents. And our business model is a very transparent one. And we feel that if there's any rewards that should be given, it should be given so that the teams and the budgets benefit, not us. So it's a great question. Thank you.
Thanks. And then the last one I just got, can I use all these services with one contract? And yes, absolutely. I'll take that one as being the director of sales. We are more than happy to create an addendum or specific requirements through all these additional amenities and add-ons outside of your normal travel agency contract to really put together a full service solution. So, and if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of the four of us. We are more than happy to answer those. But that's all we got today. You can download today's slide deck by visiting our website, shortstravelmanagement.com/happenings. And you can reach out to any of the experts on our call today by sending an email to sales@shortstravel.com. And they also provide their contact information as well. Feel free to reach out with any questions. And a special thanks to our experts, our dream team that we had on today for leading our travel talk, especially their area of expertise. And thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to having you back next month in our November topic. So appreciate your time. Thank you.